Hello, we're going to look at how to use SurrealDB with Python in this video. If you're new to SurrealDB, it's a new database which claims to be the ultimate multi-model database. Develop easier, build faster, scale quicker. You can read all the documentation here. Effectively, it's a document database, but it provides you with graph features and relational database also. So install, and then you go down here. Depending on your platform, you can use one of these commands to install it. Once you've got it installed, you just need the SDK. So for Python, we'll use pip install SurrealDB. Because I'm using Jupyter Notebook, I put the exclamation mark in just to escape Jupyter and run this from command line effectively. Comment that out, we don't need that again. Import pandas, we're going to use pandas later on, so I just thought I'd add that in. Remember to start SurrealDB, yeah, so I've just started it and I've got a bash alias. The bash alias actually is doing all of this. Surreal start -- log, so we're specifying debug as the logging level. The username is root, you can change that later on. The password is root, again, change that. And because we want persistence, so when we reopen our Jupyter Notebook, we want to be able to access the same data. So file mydatabase.db, you can call that whatever you want. And because I've not specified an extended path, it's just storing mydatabase.db in the same location as my Jupyter Notebook. Then from SurrealDB, import Surreal. And just a little note here, the documentation says use HTTP localhost 8000 when you try to connect. WS, for me, works and HTTP didn't. So I'm using version 1.31 as of middle of March 2024. So this works, and you're about to see that it does work. So if we just comment that out, run that, and we're connected. We've connected using the username root, the password root, and we have a namespace and a database name. So just be aware that you have a namespace with Surreal. Database, you can call it whatever you want. Typically, you'll call it products, whatever your database is about. Cars, houses, something like that. So employees, typically, yeah, that's the common one, isn't it? So await DB, so it is, it's not asynchronous, so we need to wait for this to complete. So we will delete driver because I've already done a test and I need to know that my table is empty before we proceed with this. So we've now got an empty database called test, and we're about to create one record. Driver here will actually create a table for us called driver. So let's run that. And you can see it's created a table. So driver here is the table name. And the ID, because we didn't specify an ID, it generated a random one for us. If you want, you can use UUID or just sequential numbering for the ID. There's no need to actually create it yourself, other than maybe for doing very basic examples or tutorials maybe. So it's created name, nationality. So these would be columns in a traditional relational database. So we've created one record. Okay, if we want to batch insert records, construct a batch insert SQL query for a custom. So we're going to create a query which actually inserts into the table. And we're going to convert each record dictionary to a string, because we're converting each dictionary into plain text effectively, which will get passed into our SQL query. which will happen down here when we create a query. And then we actually we send the query with the contents of this. So we're creating 3 dictionaries, passing them into the query. Once it's run, so we'll run this, does the batch, sorry, it prepares the query. This line runs a query, which does the insert. And then when we run this one, this is a query which selects everything from driver and then converts it to a pandas data frame. Yeah, you can see there. So you've got driver plus the random ID there. Driver name, nationality, race winner, yes or no, previous teams. This could be tidied up, but this is just for presentation purposes, really. If you want to update a record, you use update. I won't do that here. So to create a new record for a team, so we've created a driver, let's create a team. So dbadmin create, then we pass the table name effectively followed by the dictionary. So we've created a team called Red Bull. Let's add an additional column. So let's add a category. So we're adding to the driver table, we're adding a category, so effectively a new column, so to speak. And we want to put F1 in every row, effectively. There we go. Next. I prepared this earlier, so this might not work because we will have a different random ID. I'll show you a link to my website, or redandgreen.co.uk. You can find it on there. But there's a way how you can search based on driver name, which will then get you the ID, and then you can do the search based on the ID. So it's a 2-step process. If we run this, okay, so we query relate the driver on, so that ends in JOM. That's the driver ending in JOM, but there isn't one ending in JOM. Let's sorry, scroll down on me. Let's copy that and change that here. So we're going to relate the driver Max Verstappen to a table which is going to be created, which is effectively a join, which is one World Drivers' Championship. So now we've said the driver in the driver table with that ID, link it with the team Red Bull, so he won the World Drivers' Championship for the team Red Bull. If we just select everything from the team, we've just got one team. Select our from team. We only added one team. So let's delete those 2 tables now. They've gone. What we could still do though is we could copy this, because we've only deleted the driver and the team tables. So there is a 3rd table now because we added the query, or we added the relationship called one World Drivers Championship. So if we do that, even though we've deleted the drivers table, the team table, we've still got a third table. So we had the driver table, the team table, but when we did this, this created a new table called 1WDC. This will make more sense when you look at my example on my web page. Probably the best thing to do is copy that syntax in and run it, because you'll see that you can relate. When you build the relationship, you build it, or you add the relationship when you write the record. So unlike a traditional database where you perform the query when you're doing the find, and that's the teams and drivers one. And this just shows you how you could perform a query to define a person table, article table, insert, do some inserts and do a relate. So you've got person and you've got article, and then you say the person. And this, the ID is foo, so the person is the name of the table, and the bit after the colon, the colon there is foo, so that's the ID. So you've got the table and then you've got ID. As I say, sometimes you can use the name there, or you could use the randomly generated ID. If you're using the randomly generated ID, you'll need to then do a search first, because you'll need to search for the ID by name. So you'll need to search where name equals John K to get the ID. Once you've got the ID, then you can perform a relate. Hope that makes sense. And then when you run this, you get result OK time. It's added all. You see these steps that it's performed. So it's actually done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 operations, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then it gives you the time it took to run, which is that microseconds? It's not even milliseconds. It's very fast. I think the best thing to do is make sure, if you are deleting tables or dropping tables, make sure that you delete the. So that's when you use relate, you get a graph edge. So you've got. Let's go. Is it here? View features. Architecture. Data model, I think, isn't it? I'm looking for where it shows you the actual QL. Let's go to docs. There's a nice diagram somewhere, which I'm struggling to find right now, but start the database, run the queries, create. Concepts mapping. There's a good bit here which explains the SurrealDB translation of traditional relational database names. So record in SurrealDB is a row in a relational database. So it's all here. If you want, let's go. There's a tutorial for using Postman, but if you want to use the Python side of things, you will need to come to. Can't find it. You need the SDK basically. Search Python SDK. So we did pip install. We connected to the database. That's updated now, so yeah. AWS RPC. This is showing an example using async as well. So that will be non-blocking. So that was the Python example. Okay, yeah, that's using async. So what we're doing here is using Jupyter. And yeah, so with the Jupyter example, they're showing HTTP, but you don't need that. It doesn't work. We come back here. We did. I said it doesn't work. Maybe it does now, but we'll find out. Was there the H? No, it's just port 8000. Okay. Let's try it. I've got a feeling this will fail. Yeah. So basically it's needing WS, just like in the RPC after the end there. That's better. So the connection details for Jupyter Notebook are the same as the first example, which is the plain old Python example, the script example. So there's the SDK methods. So we've seen use of the Surreal class. We've seen connect. Oh, sorry. I didn't use close, which is probably bad. Did they use close here? No. You can use sign up, so you've got authentication built in. Select, create, update, merge. We didn't look at merge. Maybe I'll come back to that. Surreal is a class that represents the Surreal server. The default way to connect is through WebSockets using Surreal URL. If an HTTP client is needed, you can use Surreal HTTP URL, but be aware that it's current, excuse me, not as stable as fully implemented. Let me show you my article, because what I did yesterday was create two tables with some relationships. Now, the tables were as per this. So I had a table for some magazines with 12 issues for that particular year. In fact, it doesn't need to be the name of the particular magazine. It could just be called magazines. I had a topic here, so I had a separate table for topic, and then as you can see, welding featured in 3 of the issues: March, May, and June. But also, some of the topics appeared. You had multiple topics appearing in one issue. So trailers and sprays appeared in January, and trailers and welding appeared in June. So that's kind of much like inner join, I believe. But here we're adding content. So when we did the relate, so we had this middle table where we related content. So this was the issue, this was the topic, and then the relationship actually stores, the relationship table stores the additional content. So you can query the relation, or it's effectively the graph edge. So I added here ways with welding, which was the title of the article. So although the topic was welding, for March I did with March, I related March issue to welding, but when I added the relate, I added in this content. We'll see that further down here. So I just made sure I removed all three tables, otherwise you get errors like we saw just now. And I created by doing these here, just creating the issues with the year name, you create, so you do create, which is a part of the query language, power farming, which is my table name, set, part of the query language, issue is effectively the key, and then January is effectively the value. Same with year in 1983. The colors are different because it's just the way it's formatted on this WordPress site. So now we add the relationships and content. Zoom in a bit. So because I didn't specify when I created the topic and when I created the Power Farming magazine, because I didn't specify an ID, it's generated them for me with a long random ID. So then what you need to do is you can use the let. So that's part of the query language. So that's not Python specific or Rust specific. It's part of the SQL, the SurrealQL query language. So I've set magazine variable. So the variable is, because it's got the $, equal to select ID from Power Farming where issue equals January. So that then gets me the ID. So then I join the ID to the magazine name. So then you can do, in fact, the ID here is actually the full ID. So then you do relate. So that will be doing relate Power Farming : and then X397Y, etc. to the topic. And the topic, again, I've done a search for the ID. So then effectively there's the $topic will be, if you were to print that, it would be topic : Z3MP, whatever. Content. So this is where we add additional content to what is the third table or even the graph edge, so to speak. So, and this is all writing it ahead of time, ahead of you using it. So when you perform the query, it goes straight there. It doesn't need to search through tables to find the relationships. Behind the scenes, this will be hashed and it will be part of a hash map. So we go through and we keep doing that. We keep finding the ID for the issue, find the ID for the topic, and then we relate them, relate the magazine issue to the topic. And then the content, all of this content is effectively getting added into this features table, which is in the middle. And then when we perform our queries, we'll be performing a query to get either the table name or the topic, but it will actually collect information from this middle table as well. So let's show the queries. So find the topics featured in the January issue. So select ID, then we do these dash and then a greater, so it's the arrow, and we're saying select features topic as TP from Power Farming where issue equals January, and fetch TP. So this is what it's doing. From the January issue, it's finding 3 topics. And this does take a little bit of learning. It's very new to me, so yeah, you can spend some time banging your head against a brick wall, but if you've got an example, then you can just, you know that, so you're selecting from Power Farming. The key here is that you're selecting from Power Farming where issue equals January. So the way I do it is I think select from Power Farming where issue equals January, if I can say it properly, and then fetch TP, so fetch the topics, and the topics, so TP is effectively an alias, so we want to fetch the features from the features table, which is the middle table. We want to fetch the topics. Let's show you another example. So where I did this, I fetched the topics of trailers, welding, sprays. So sprays, trailers, welding from this actual issue, because I used real data from old magazines. So this can work two ways. So the other way around is to select issues that had the topic of welding. So you might be thinking, oh, I want that particular magazine from January. Or you might be thinking, I want to buy all the magazines that featured the series on welding. So here, these arrows go the other way. And I guess that's because effectively we're doing select from weld, where weld equals welding, where it equals the topic of welding. So select from the welding topic, and then fetch the issues, and the issues are features in Power Farming magazines. So here we're actually getting back March, January, June, May. So there was like a 4-part series about welding that spanned 4 different issues. These arrows really do take a bit of getting used to. Where you're searching from the issues, that's on effectively on, if you think of that on the far right hand side. Sorry, the topics on the far right hand side. So if you're doing a search on the topics, the arrows need to point back to the left. So here you're coming from weld. So weld is basically the topic. So you come in from the right hand side topics back to the left, back to the issues, and then you want to fetch the issues. And then the issues are, when I say issue, I mean the kind of the monthly publication is an issue. So March issue or the January issue, the June. So 2 examples here, and this is all on my website, redandgreen.co.uk, SurrealDB tutorial. Again, it takes some getting your head around, but the benefits are you can use WebSockets with SurrealDB. You've also got live queries, which are a significant difference and benefit. And particularly if you were doing some sort of fast moving database, especially like say a clone of a social media site, you would be seeing the most recent, you could get the most recent posts would be sent back to you over a channel. So you would, in the software, you would create a channel, and then that would in real time send you the updates. So you wouldn't have to poll or keep performing the same query at regular intervals. You'd have a channel open, So you'd be receiving the updates instantly, not receiving them when you poll.